Hey there, mamas! You are listening to Release Your Inner Power podcast, where we talk about having both me time and being the best mom, sharing stories, encouragement, and tips for taking the steps to release that inner power and that mom guilt. I'm your host, Shauna B. Here we go. One quick thing before we get started. I will be doing a drawing for a fun gift each month. Here are 3 ways to enter. You can email me to share your juicy takeaways, topic ideas you want to hear, or share a story. Share this podcast on social media and tag me with what episode you listened to and what you learned or loved about it. And if you leave a review, you will get 2 entries into the drawing. I will announce the winner the last week of each month. Okay, let's get started. I have something coming in January and February that I want to share with you first. It is a monthly membership group of like-minded women that has connection, builds community, works on accomplishing something with people in their corner to encourage and celebrate, to take that next step, a place for support to get to your goals faster and happier, to be able to start taking the steps to where you want to be faster than before. Some examples of this group can be like maybe eating different or getting a workout routine, a new routine in general, working on more me time, a project that needs finishing, friggin' planning dinner, working on that negative voice and changing it to a positive one. It's about helping. It's about support. It's about connection and accountability, where we work together on motivating each other, encouraging each other, support along the way to open up these possibilities of accomplishing the next step to what you want in your life. For more information, check out the group in the show notes. You don't want to miss out. If you want to be on the list, get on that list so I can contact you in January. Hello. How is everybody doing? I wanted to share a quote that one of my friends, Jenny, gave me, and it kind of hits home a little bit. And I'm hoping that we can kind of dive into it a little bit on the meaning and how to overcome some things and why we do some things here. So here's the quote. If there ever comes a time when the women of the world come together purely and simply for the benefit of mankind, it will be a force such as the world has never known, by Matthew Arnold. What does that mean? I think this is important because as women, what this means to me is talking about judgment and comparison and actually coming together to build community, to build encouragement, to motivate each other, to be each other's biggest cheerleaders along with ourselves being our biggest cheerleaders. This is a struggle for many. This is, it's almost like for you as a human being, right? Like it's something that you have to work on to not be judgmental, to not compare yourself. It's almost as if we are conditioned, like obviously not purposefully, we're conditioned to do it. It's like an automatic reaction for us to do it, and to work against that, to change that, is growth too, right? So is that something that you do? Do you try not to be judgmental? Do you try not to compare yourself? Sometimes you'll just be in the motion of things and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm totally doing that whole comparison judgmental thingy. Or you compare yourself because you're worried about other people judging you, or they're comparing themselves to me, or they're judging me because X is going on and they don't. And granted, there are some people out there that judge and they don't care that they're judging. And it's dependent on the situation, right? We all have different scenarios and things that happen to us, and it goes back to that whole iceberg thing, like a part of the iceberg is sticking out and that's what you see of everybody else, and then there's all this unknown because you're not walking in that person's shoes, you're not living their life on day to day, you're not experiencing their experiences, which makes them who they are in the situations that they have to battle. And how awesome would that be if more of us were to come together and have this whole, like, heck yeah, community of supporting each other and being there for each other and cheering each other on, even when things you don't even understand. You don't have to understand. You don't have to know all the details. You don't have to justify it. Like, just be there, in compassion, empathy, and love for somebody, and to be there to support them during the hard things, or being them to support them during the happy things. I think that it is something that we all collectively have to work on together regularly in order to actually overcome it, right? It's a choice. It's a personal choice. How do I want to come at this? Do I want to come at this with more compassion, empathy, and love and understanding, and not be comparing or judgmental? It can go for strangers all the way through to family members, right? I feel like when you have a deeper connection, it's easier for you to do it that way versus somebody that you don't even know. It's a little, it takes a little more effort. It takes a little more practice. It takes a little bit more of making a habit to do something like that. But are you willing to do something like that? Like, imagine how awesome that would be to be so supportive and have this group of women that are like rah rah all in your corner, non-judgmental and all that. Do you have that group? Is that something that you have in your life? Or like situations with, moms owning their own business, working moms, or even stay-at-home moms that are rocking out all this to-do lists and doing all the extra things, or homeschooling and businesses and like all of this stuff. Encourage all the good to be supportive when it's hard, because life is like in waves. You ride the highs, you ride those waves, and then you drop down into the trenches and you got to work through the trenches. And how much easier it would be if people's perspective was a little bit different, being more open to being there. Not just your girls, not just your group of girls or your family members, or, the people that you have a deep connection with, but just people in general, like just being more curious around things. Curious why or what or how, or just being there and listening when somebody needs that space for helping. I'm hoping that, being able to shed some light or just stop for a second and think about it, or even having a second to think, am I judging this person right now? Am I comparing myself to this person now? Even for a second, just to switch it up, flip the script, flip it up. Social norm is judgmental and comparison, and always trying to, I don't want to say one up because I hate that, but like, not, like I'm doing, I'm doing this and this person's doing that and la la la. And it's like, it's also like, it doesn't affect us. It's not in our actual story in life. That is not something that does affect us. So how does it bring in like the positive? How is there more of yes and more of support and like love and compassion and empathy? How can that be? Is it going to be to compare and say either that person has more than me or that person has less than me? No, it makes you feel like shit when you're like, oh, I wish I could be like that. I want to, do this and that. Like, I want to, have all the kids' clothes match, and then look at their lunches and how they're all in little fun shapes and they like theme out the lunchbox. I totally wish I could do that. Why? Why are we comparing ourselves for that? Why are we doing those things? All it does is make us feel like shit, like we need to be better, like we're not happy with what we are right now. What are you happy with right now? What are you bossing up with right now? What can we celebrate and be happy about right now? Flip the script. Comparing for what? Are you going to be so much better of a person if all of if your lunches are themed out into shapes and they look all cool when your kid takes them to school? I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. That's totally great. You don't have to do that in order to be there, to be present, to be a good mom. Like, that doesn't make you better because you can theme out a lunch or that all your kids' clothes match, right? Or maybe somebody's having a hard day. I'll give you a story from my life. One of my kiddos has a very hard time transitioning and has a lot of anxiety about going to school. And sometimes his emotions are so big. How I describe it is he has elephant-size emotions in his little kiddo body. And sometimes they get to be so big and so much, and they have a hard time even knowing what to do with them, that they either have to move or they have to scream or they have to let it out in some way, because they aren't even entirely sure what this feeling even means. They don't know what it means or why it's there, or he gets a stomach ache and he throws up because he can't do anything with it, and it's coming out. So sometimes it's in throw up, you know? And I've been in front of the school, and my kiddos had a situation where he was having a hard time with his emotions and he was not wanting to go to school, and he was getting louder and louder and louder about it, and we needed a reset. And as a mom, I was focused on my kid on how we needed to reset, and we have a whole process of doing that. And so we did that whole reset and everything. But while this is going on, it's almost natural for us. We're in the moment, but then we're like, oh my gosh, like, were other people watching me? What were they thinking? And then you're doing that whole comparison thing. Do those people know what is happening? No. Did I have one lady come out and she's like, is there anything I can do to help you? And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, one, I was like, thank you for offering. But it had been too far gone that it wouldn't work. And so I said no. At the same time, I felt really good about that, as well as when it was over, somebody else came up to me and was like, how can we help you so future drop-offs can be easier? Right? The teacher that my kiddo was supposed to be going into her classroom. And those types of things alleviate what you were thinking as far as judgment and comparison, right? That's the last thing you need. When you're going through all this thing, your emotions are heightened, things are crazy town, you're dealing with elephant-sized emotions for this kiddo, and you're trying to guide them through it and properly teach them the tools that they can use so they can actually cope with this so it doesn't get out of control. And you still do it. You still do it. You have to stop that. You have to stop that comparison and worrying about what other people think and judgment and all that stuff. And then it almost was like validating and like an awesome experience to have both of those people offer me a way of help by asking a question and not doing what I thought they were doing. Right? So sometimes even when people aren't even judging you, you're automatically like, oh my gosh, are these people judging me? And you just jump to that, right? You're thinking people are judging you, or are you judging other people? It's a whole whirlwind of crazy town. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, remember this quote. If there ever comes a time when women of the world come together purely and simply for the benefit of mankind, it will be a force such as the world has never known. I mean, one, we are raising and guiding little people to come into successful adults who will be doing things for this world and contributing to this world. That is how we are doing it, right? And we lead by example. We're the shining light for our people that we are teaching, and we need to guide them. And what's the best way to guide? Lead by example. So my challenge to you is, if a comparison comes up today, hit the pause button. Find something that you are proud of in yourself that you're doing right now, because you also can have what that other person has. They just may be on step 10 and you're on step 2. So let's back it up and think about what you have right now and where you're going, and be proud of what you have and how you're going to change it. And 2, if a judgment loop comes up and you either see yourself judging someone else, hit the pause button. What are you gaining from that? Be more understanding and compassionate, as well as If you worry about the judgment loop that's going on, what are these people thinking? What are these people thinking? Remind yourself, this is your story in your life. They may not understand what is fully going on with you, and that's okay because you understand and you're walking in their shoes, and what they're thinking doesn't affect your life. How you lead by example is what affects your life. Hopefully that's helpful. I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, learned something new, or got a juicy takeaway that will bring in that heck yeah back into your life. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to subscribe. If you love the show, want to share a story, comment below. If you know someone that would love or need this episode, be sure to share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. Tag me and find me on social media at Ignited Decisions on Instagram and Shauna with Ignited Decisions on Facebook. I would love to know what episode you listened to and how it helped you, as well as connect on social. Okay, mamas, claim your time and release your inner power.